Hello, sixth graders. So this is a lesson on the Pythagorean Theorem. I'm going to show you a quick little video here about Pythagoras and his theorem, and then we will go into your assignment. Okay.
Pythagoras was born around the year 500 BC on the Greek island of Samos. As an adult, he moved to an island off of the south of Italy called Crotone. Here he was regarded as a great philosopher and religious leader. Pythagoras is most famous for proving the Pythagorean Theorem, also known as a squared plus b squared equals c squared, although it should be noted that this equation was being used as early as the year 2000 BC by the Sumerians. Pythagoras was able to prove that it would always be true. Now that you know a little bit about the history, let's take a look at how it works. We'll start by drawing a right triangle, that is one where two of the sides come together to form a right angle. In our example, side A is 4 units long. This means a squared will be equal to 16 square units. Next, we'll draw side B. This side will be 3 units long, making b squared equal to 9 square units. It's important to notice that these two sides come together to form a right angle, so they're called the legs. Now that we know that a squared equals 16 and b squared equals 9, we can add them together and find that in this example, c squared is equal to 25 square units. Here, we can take the square root of 25 and find that side c, also known as the hypotenuse, is equal to 5. Now I know you're thinking, how can I apply this in real life? Well, let's take a look at a real-life example. Your friend's house is 8 miles south of yours and 6 miles west, but you want to know the shortest distance between the two homes. You can use the Pythagorean theorem to figure this out. In this example, you can see that A equals 8 miles and B equals 6 miles. C is the unknown, or the number you're trying to figure out. From here, you'll square A and B and find that they're equal to 64 square miles and 36 square miles, respectively. Next, you'll add 64 and 36 together to learn that c squared equals 100 square miles. Then you can take the square root of 100 to find that your friend's house is 10 miles away from yours. For more examples and story problems, you can visit the...
Okay, so how does this apply to your assignment? Now, the Pythagorean theorem is used quite a bit in geometry, architecture, anything to do with engineering when you're putting together buildings or bridges and that type of thing. So it's pretty important concept to understand. So this is your assignment. This should look familiar to you. All of the answers are down below. Okay, I have already figured out the answers for this, so I had to do some homework too. So everything that's marked in dark there are the answers to these questions. So that's the same on the second page. As you can see, these are all marked in black too. So all of the answers are given for you. You just have to figure out how they got them. So let's take a look. So here's your first problem, right? So here we have this base right here. So, and we need to find this side. So basically, this is going to be the short side, this is going to be the long side, and this is going to be the hypotenuse, right? Because your right angle is right there. This is your right angle, and directly across from your right angle is going to be your hypotenuse. And even though this number is down here, we know that because this is a rectangle, that if this is 9, then this has to be 9 as well. Okay? So we basically are going to have a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. So to solve that, we can say that, I'm going to come over here to my paper, we can say that we have a squared, let me see if I can line this up here. So we are going to have a squared, okay, that is an a, plus, and our other number was 9 squared, which is going to be equal to 10 squared, okay? So just like algebra, we have a squared. What's 9 squared is going to be 81, right? And which is equal to 10 squared, which is 100. Okay, here comes our algebra. So we're going to get rid of this, right? This is going to cancel out. We got to keep it even on both sides. So this cancels out, but then I got whatever I do to one side, I got to do to the other, right? Okay, so then I have a squared, which is going to be equal to 19. Now, what is the opposite of a square? Well, it's finding the square root. Okay, because we want to have a all by himself, and he's not all by himself yet. He still has this little squaring right here. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do the square root, and that's going to cancel out. So the square root and the squaring cancels out, but if I do the square root on one side, I got to do square root on the other. So now I'm left with a is equal to the square root of 19. Now I want you to use a scientific calculator for this. I like to use this Web .210. It kind of looks like this. That's the Web 2.0 calc. It's a scientific calculator. It's really helpful. So I like to use that one a little bit more, but then just a regular calculator. So I want to type in 19. Oops, I gotta get rid of all my numbers up there. 19. Okay, so there's my 19, and this little button right here is going to be the square root. If I click on it, it actually says square root of number x, okay? And if I click on it and then hit the equal sign, I'm going to get, well, it's thinking, sorry. It's going to come out as 4.3, blah, 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 blah. Okay, we don't need all those numbers. Let's round it off. So 35, if I round this 5, or if I round this 3, I'm going to look at the 5. The 5 is going to bump it to a 4, so it says it's 4.4. If I come down here, kabam, there's 4.4. There is my answer right there, 4.4. I wish they had the unit of measurement on there, but of course they don't. I don't even know if they have any unit of measurement on here. Okay, so this would be basically 4.4 units. So the answer for number 1 would be 4.4. Okay, let's try another one. Let's go to the second page though, and I want to try one with the hypotenuse. So let's look at number 10. Okay, so here's number 10. So we're going to come over here. So I have a squared plus b squared equals c squared, right? That is my formula. That is the Pythagorean theorem right there. So they want us to find, on here we need to find the hypotenuse, right? This is a leg, and I know that this is also going to be a right angle, because I know from supplementary angles that 90, if this is 90 degrees, that this has to be 90 degrees as well, right? 90 plus 90 is going to be 180. So there's my 180 degree line, right? A straight line is 180 degrees. So I know that this has to be 90 degrees as well. And so the line that's across from the right angle is your hypotenuse, right? And the hypotenuse is always going to be c squared. Okay, so I have a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. So let's come back over to the paper here, and I'll line myself up. Okay, so we have 7 squared plus 24 squared, and that's going to be equal to c squared. All right, well, I know 7 squared obviously is 49. I know that. 49 is because, remember, squaring is just multiplying it by itself. So 7 times 7 is 49, but I don't quite remember what 24 squared is. So I'm going to come back up to my calculator, and I'm going to type in 24, and I'm going to square it. And I'm going to hit my equal sign. And it's thinking, la 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 la. Thinking, and we're thinking, and we're thinking. And we're still thinking. Oh, there it is. So it is 576. So we're going to add, come back over to my paper, and we're going to add 576. So now we have 49 plus 576 is equal to c squared. So now let's add those together. Plus 49. Thinking some more. Sorry, I have a really slow computer sometimes. And we're thinking I probably could have just did this on paper. 6 625. All right, so 625 is equal to c squared. Ah, but I have my square right there. I don't want my square. C wants to be all by himself. He doesn't want that stupid little 2 there. So I'm going to do the opposite, right? What's the opposite of squaring? It's finding the square root. Okay, so I'm going to cancel that out, but whatever I do on one side, I got to do on the other. So I need to find then the square root of 625. Well, that's pretty darn easy to do. I'm going to go back to my calculator, and I actually know this one because I think it's 25, just because I've worked with this before. And of course we have to think. And we're thinking, and we're thinking. We're thinking, and we're thinking. We're thinking some more. And there it is. So the square root of 625 is 25 units. And if I come down to my paper, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Up, and there's my answer right there, 25, which has already been blocked in. Okay, so that's how you're going to be doing these. Very simple. Remember, if you have a square, to get rid of the square, you have to find the square root. Make sure that you're using some kind of scientific calculator when you're doing this, because it will help you immensely. Sometimes regular calculators don't always have squaring and square rooting on there. Okay. Again, if you have any questions, you can always shoot me an email. Otherwise, you can look up stuff on YouTube too. There's lots of different videos on there on how to figure out the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, most important thing is to remember what it is and how to work with it. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared is your formula, and then you just plug in the numbers. Okay, good luck. Shoot me an email if you have any questions. Thanks. Bye.